we're now able to develop tools. The next kind of generation of this is going to be figuring out how to implement tools. And this is happening at a big scale. Monsanto, for instance, has spent $1 billion buying Climate Corporation, right? So they're building in this capability to actually, hopefully, measure what's going on with the weather in specific areas. They brought precision planting, which is a whole suite of technologies that now enable them to know what happened on each individual farmer's field because they've got all the data of when they planted it, the conditions in which they planted it, all this sort of stuff. So they're looking at these giant data sets and trying to match these things up. But you can contrast what's going on with the biggest of the big companies with something like Farm Logs, right? Which is a Michigan-based company down in Ann Arbor that is run by a couple of mid-20s kids from up in Huron County that have $10 million of venture capital money behind them right now. And perhaps the biggest problem they have right now is managing growth because they've gone from something like 4 people to 50 in 18 months. But there's tremendous interest, and the money speaks to this tremendous potential for how you manage information. So what they can do with taking a look at imagery, how you map things, how you model it, how you yield track. And I think that those two completely divergent approaches to how you're going to get to this big data question, from the biggest of the big companies to the most smallest of the startups, kind of illustrates the fact that nobody's got this model figured out of how and where you go with this sort of stuff. So I think over the next 20, 30 years of what you see is we need a better understanding of the underlying data and information behind these systems of what drives these systems, and then developing applications to meet those. And I think you'll see challenging of conventional wisdom where we go in a lot of this. Over the last 20 years maybe, we've seen this, well, longer than 40 years, we've seen this bigger and bigger drive towards large equipment. And Emily put up the 500 horse John Deere tractor up there. Should we really have people in tractors driving them anymore? Because there's all kinds of limitations with that. Cabs are heavy on tractors, they're expensive to put in, and a human operator can only operate that tractor for so many hours a day. You get into all these problems of running a 30-ton piece of equipment across the ground. Why don't we go smaller? And you don't put a person in them. You run the thing 24 hours a day. I think there'll be more changes of that kind of nature coming down the road here in the next 30 years that really challenge of what we currently think of what ag looks like.